I want to thank our sponsor, Newmark Watch Company, who are a British-owned brand who create stunning timepieces from the 6BB Pilot chronograph to the 200-metre water-resistant Water King. This year they're celebrating their 150th anniversary, which is an incredible milestone, as each watch they create is a celebration of their heritage, embodying the principles that have guided them for generations and earned them a loyal following, including myself. As well as their timepieces, they also produce 3 quality NATO straps in royal blue, military green and desert orange, which will all go very nicely with your Newmark watch. Their customer service is second to none, so you won't be disappointed when you purchase your own bit of history, so make sure to visit their website to check out all their products and also read a bit more of their history at newmarkwatchcompany.com. Thank you and enjoy. So yeah, talking about the boat, what was it like and did you actually live on there?
Yeah, I think that, to be frank, the longest I ever did on board USS Vinson was about 2 weeks. I didn't deploy with the squadron. The squadron, as a result of getting these new aeroplanes, had basically gone to the back of the queue for the workups or whatever, which was great in many ways. Because you got to learn what the US Navy did and the whole cycle. I was a bit disappointed to start with because one of my main reasons for motivations to be over there was I wanted to deploy with them, particularly to get back to Afghanistan, but that wasn't going to happen. So we did a lot of bouncing at Lemoore with one of the squadron LSOs, landing signals officers, in little cabin, and when you're ready you get, I think they called it the overhead signal, and you just get told go and be at this place at this time, there will be an aircraft carrier waiting for you. So I did that, and live on board. It's probably not quite as comfortable as a British warship. There's no bar, which is a bit weird, but it's a functional place. Like there's no sort of officers' wardroom where you can all hang out, have a coffee, etc. Or
down the business type thing.
Well, yeah, and the shame of that is that in the wardroom, that's where you all get on as a ship's company, and there shouldn't be an us and them between the air group and the ship. If there's no way of you actually interacting with people, that's a bit of a shame. So you've got your squadron ready room, but that's about it, really.
Yeah. What was your first carrier launch like? That is it as exhilarating as it looks in Top Gun, for instance?
Oh, it's even worse. Yeah, it's and because it would have been in the T-45 as well, where I led to believe that you can't turn the dial down low enough for something of that weight. I didn't particularly like the catapult launch, to be honest. It's just that sensation of being completely out of control, in the sense that you are not a master of your own destiny. You're strapped to a bit of metal that's strapped to another bigger bit of metal, and it's going to fling you off the front. And I'm obviously not the smallest of pilots, but my feet would get thrown off the pedals. Your mask gets shifted on your face, that sort of thing. It's a hell of a shot, really is. It's like a fairground ride that's been turned up to 11.
You're not allowed to touch the throttles instead, don't you? Have to put your hand as that.
No, you have to have your hand on the throttle. And I think in the T-45 there was like a fold out paddle that you would hold onto, which meant that you were holding onto something to keep your left arm fully forward. In the Super Hornet, you just jammed your elbow against the side of the cockpit, and so it was quite common in so doing and bracing yourself against the catapult stroke for you to give it a little stroke of afterburner as you left the deck, just as you sort of braced against that shock. But yeah, you once you've saluted and accepted the launch, you put your hand up on the towel rail on the right hand side, as they call it, and that the shooter wouldn't shoot you unless you did.
So how did the Super Hornet compare to the Sea Harrier that you flew with the Royal Navy?
Better in every single regard.
Really?
Yes.
Didn't expect that, to be honest.
The Sea Harrier is quite nimble. So the only sort of thing about flying the Super Hornet from a sort of joy of flying type viewpoint was the fact, like I say, it was so stable that it was almost annoying at times. The Sea Harrier was the complete reverse. The Sea Harrier was so unstable that it even I almost got 1,000 hours Sea Harrier. I think I got something really annoying, like 980 or something like that. But even on your last hour, you'd be flying around going, is that normal? Is it what's it up to, type thing? Whereas but other than that, when you think Sea Harrier had Blue Vixen, which was fabulous for its time, but then you fly APG-79 and go, dear God, this is night and day.
It's like going from a Nokia to an iPhone.
Yeah, exactly that. And Sea Harrier, you could take 4 AMRAAMs if you didn't want to take heaters, whereas you're now flying an aircraft 1002. Sea Harrier very, very accurate with dumb bombs, but now I think we had something ridiculous like 14 different guided weapons we could drop or something. There's just a huge amount of stuff in the Super Hornet. Someone will pick me up on that, but it was, when you're talking about something that could drop Harpoon, JSOW, JDAM, the AGM-130s, all those GBU, everything, just a ridiculous amount of weaponry, and actually integrated very well. So part of the trick when you're designing an airplane, whoever did it was a genius, is obviously to make things easy for dumb aircrew, and the Super Hornet, they've done a great job of making it transparent what you were using, what you were dropping. But now I can't think of and the fuel. I mean, the Sea Harrier, big tanks, 8,000 pounds of fuel. I think we climbed into the Super Hornet with 17.6 thousand pounds, so huge. And it doesn't have a great reputation for being a fast aeroplane, mainly because of its pylons. But you could easily commit high subsonic and runaway supersonic in the Super Hornet. So, but then again, for someone like me, actually it was very handy to have grown up in the Sea Harrier world, so all the concepts were there, or now you're just doing it in a machine that was actually made for it, don't they?
So when you were on the squadron, did they ever ask you about the Sea Harrier, and did you ever swap notes or bring in your experience to the Super Hornet?
And they were really, really interested actually in not necessarily the Sea Harrier, but the Harrier. The squadron were very receptive about air-to-surface work, and how we could tweak things if you really knew your stuff, for example, about the weapon fuses and how, for example, an aircraft can self-damage. So you can fly into your own bombs, you can be there when they explode, you can be hit by the fragmentation. And like I said earlier, the US Navy guys were incredibly good at knowing what the standardization was, but my squadron was very receptive at me telling them what the science behind the standardization was. So for example, we could tweak the safe escape maneuvers. We used one specific safe escape maneuver, which was I think a 5G recovery, for example, and by getting into the manuals, I was able to understand, well, there were other ones available, there were other profiles available, and teaching them, not teaching them, because that sounds a bit high and mighty, which is not meant to. They were very receptive when I said, we could go in low. We could do this. We just need to be aware of what the weapons are going to do. So let's fuse the weapons like this, and let's use these particular profiles. And they were fabulous. I gave them a lecture which started off with, I don't know if you remember it, but there's a picture of 2 Argentine, I think they're A4s, taken from one of our warships in the Falklands. And that was the start of my lecture. Is that the reason that these attacks didn't work is that these guys didn't know their fuse settings. But if you do know your fuse settings, then and your delivery modes, then there are more options open to you, and they were very receptive.
So what was the social side like? Obviously being a Brit over there, did you get invited out personally, to parties, dinners and stuff like that, or did you keep to yourself?
And without giving too much away, there is this notion, isn't there, in the UK that we like to work hard but also play hard, and maybe the US don't. That's absolutely false. They can play as hard as us. So the Christmas party, for example, one of our junior chaps got a little bit confused and ended up in jail. But apart from that, then the social was fabulous.
But what was life like in America as well? Did you enjoy that as a whole?
Loved it. The people in Hanford were absolutely fabulous. We've still got family friends. So we've got a great bunch of US Navy friends. In fact, I was having cocktails in London with a US Navy squadron buddy only 10 days ago and his wife. And we've had school Q friends over from just being around the town. We were made to feel more than welcome everywhere we went.
And how long did you stay over there for?
2 years.
2 years. Could you go back, or could you stay there if you wanted to stay, or was that your time was up?
I was actually short-toured because I made the silly error of getting promoted while I was over there, and at the same time there were only, I want to say, 8 fixed-wing commanders in the Royal Navy at the time. So, and I got promoted to be a commander. And at about that time, 2 of them decided they were going to leave. So we were down to 3/4 of overnight. And so essentially I got the call going, how quickly could you get home? And it was a good job that they were offering me, rather than shuffle the cards, as in everyone move around and try and cover up this manning problem. Then they were offering me the F-35 desk officer's job. So that was, I believe, the best job at the time that a Royal Navy commander could have. So it was a case of real tweener, because like I said, the squadron had been amazing. The squadron were treating me like any other department head, as they'd call it. The jet was amazing, family really enjoying California, but you're being offered this amazing job back home as a newly promoted commander. So, to be honest, I don't think I actually had that much choice when they're asking, could you get home? The answer was get home. That was, as they say, that. So I flew home in the Augustish of 2013.
Okay, nice. So how would you sum up the Super Hornet then?
I would sum it up, and you'll probably disagree, and it's the best Gen 4 aircraft in the world. I cannot imagine, if you had to go to war in a Gen 4 aircraft, why you'd go in anything else.
Really?
Yeah.
Even Typhoon?
Because it's not got an ACER.
Yeah,
And it's not got an ACER. I don't know, to be honest, about its air-to-surface stuff. Someone told me it's a bit clunky, and I think the jet integration was a bit clunky to start with. But the Super Hornet, in its signature role of self-escort strike, so if you're carrying air-to-air, sort of AIM-120, AIM-9X, take a harm along with you just for fun, and whatever pain you're planning to drop when you get there, with an ACER, the helmet, with the jammer, with the decoy, fabulous aircraft.
Like a no-brainer almost, yeah.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. I think it's probably got a lot in common with the F-15E. The F-15E is another true thoroughbred for those sorts of things. But although peculiarly, neither are seen as a thoroughbred, because you're not an out-and-out air-to-air player, and neither are you an out-and-out bomber. So you're not let's be ridiculous, a B2 or a B1, and equally you're not an F-15 Charlie or a Raptor, but you're right in the middle, and it'd be a brave man that went up against you. If you were taking you and 3 or maybe 7 of your mates off the boat, then it would be a hard day in the office for anyone that wanted to stand in your way.
Yeah, I can imagine. Great stuff. Well, we got some random questions from some of our viewers, if you're happy with that, Paul.
Yeah, of course.
Right, so did you ever go up against a Charlie while you were flying the E? Like F-18C when you were flying the E?
Oh, golly. I'm trying to think. Not up against them. We used to help them. So I remember doing someone's mission commander check, and he was in a C and we were in E. We didn't used to fight necessarily as squadrons in that sense. We would mix and match. So it didn't go up against them. I was always really surprised by how short their legs were. They would, if you went to the range with, say, 8 weapons to get rid of, the Charlie boys would be, and girls would be bingoing out after 2 or 3 passes at Fallon, for example, whereas you just had more gas than you knew what to do with. Yeah. But I didn't actually fight against one.
What was the hardest aircraft you went up against?
Oh, golly, Raptor.
Oh yeah, what was that like?
Raptor. I was very lucky. I BFM against Raptor. You'll hate this, mate. Hawaii was one of them. A dreadful detachment, as you can imagine. Oh, mate, and so this thing called the sequester, where they had to save money a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
On the day that they were going to switch off the aircon in the base gym at Lemoore. Bear in mind, Lemoore is a desert. That was big. We flew to Hawaii to do this detachment. We were going to do Raptor BFM with the Hawaiian Air National Guard, and there was an Arleigh Burke destroyer that needed us to do low-level supersonic runs at them. It was horrendous, as you can imagine. And but that was, I think, we probably surprised the Raptor guys in some ways because they didn't have the helmet and they didn't have 9X.
Yes.
But the power that thing has, it's just almost ridiculous. But that was hard work, up against a guy called Fallon, lovely young bloke. That was really hard, but I think I did okay. I then fought Raptor at Holloman in New Mexico and thoroughly got pasted around the skies. I couldn't get an inch against the guy who I flew with. Just the nose pointing authority and the power that thing's got is just obscene.
Yeah. So did you get a kill on the first time?
Yeah.
Do you ever, like, sometimes you see them painted on the side of the jets, did you ever do that?
No.
That would have been fun. The next one, what's the fastest you've been in the Super Hornet?
Oh, golly, I think Mach 1.4-ish, and that was a bit embarrassing. I remember, well, because and I think people thought I'd done this on purpose, but I hadn't. In the middle of the exercise areas off Key West is some sort of fort. It's a World Heritage Site, and it's got this dirty greater void over it that says, the only thing you're not allowed to do is supersonic flight. And I had committed. When you're throwing weapons along range, you sort of commit high subsonic, nose up to loft the shot in and then run away supersonic essentially. And I was thinking, golly, just executed an absolute textbook attack, and I look down and I'm at 1.4 over this darned fort. And I think at low level we had a drag race down this lovely long valley in the desert called Panamint, and I topped out at about 100 feet and 660 I think we got to. It's fast. Yeah, it's fast.
Just having a casual drag race.
It's
amazing. Yeah. Last one here. So if you could pick one for one last flight, Harrier, either anyone you flew or the Super Hornet, which would it be?
It would have to be the Sea Harrier. First love.
Right.
lots wrong with it, but just for one last chance, it'd be the Sea Harrier.
One last one for me actually. So if you had to go to war in one, which one would you pick?
If you had to
go to war in one.
If your role was close air support, the Harrier, GL9. If any other reason, then the Super Hornet by a country mile.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so the last couple of ones while we wrap up. So yeah, Paul, what are you currently up to?
I currently work as a business development director for an American company called Northrop Grumman, famous for making the B-2 and the B-21.
Brilliant stuff. And can we find you online anywhere?
Yes, you can. It's waning a little bit, shall we say, but I'm Paul_Tremelling on X.
Brilliant stuff. That'll be linked in the description below. But Paul, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Oh, my absolute pleasure.